Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Game Over Ottawa. The Pittsburgh Penguins have just been sensed. Can you believe it, Charlie, that the Ottawa Senators have actually won 3 games in a row? Because I'm finding it hard to believe even though I just witnessed it.
I can't. It's a bit of like, I can't believe it finally happened, but also I can't believe it took this long.
Yeah, like,
We're in
they've had multiple
mid-December.
chances this season because there's been multiple times of winning 2 in a row, and it just seemed like that third game would always, like, go to shit in some way that it really
Yeah.
feels like it shouldn't. Like, that Islanders loss with completely
Oh.
dominating them and just getting unlucky on the goaltending side of things. But hey, we're here with 3 wins in a row. We get to actually be positive on this show for once, and we got to smash the Sens button again. I was just saying before we went live to Charlie that I covered 7 losses in a row, and I almost forgot that the Sens button was even in my streaming setup here. But we actually are getting some use out of it now. And believe it or not, the Ottawa Senators are currently sitting in a playoff spot. And, I should have checked this before we went live, but I really wonder when the last time that actually was. Like after sort of like the first few games of the season. Because, if you just win 2 of the first 3 games, that doesn't count at all, right? This is probably
Right.
the first time in a long time that they've actually sniffed a playoff spot past like the 10-game mark.
There's no way they were in a playoff spot in December since, like, the last time would have been 2016, right?
I think so. Like, because both of the last, like, well, even the last, like, 3 seasons were all, like, tanked right at the beginning, and then they started playing better at the end, and obviously you're not going to sniff a playoff spot at that point. And in that
Mhm.
year where we got DeBrincat and Chychrun, I remember when we were chanting "We want playoffs" after that game where Chychrun came in and scored his first goal. I don't think we even touched a playoff spot at that point. I think we were just close. Maybe someone can in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were just like on the outside, kind of looking at it, but we never actually got in.
I think it was something like 5 or 6 point out with like 2 games in hand, and we were like, "Oh, here we go. This
Yeah,
is
it
it."
was the games in hand copium, which
Yeah.
usually doesn't work out how you expect it to. But oh my god, I'm just so happy tonight. I don't even know I don't even know where to start. I guess in terms of the fact that this is going to be a pretty positive episode, the one thing that I have to complain about right away is I cannot believe that Sportsnet cut away from the Sens game without even showing a replay of the overtime winner. The replays
Yeah,
are
went
supposed
straight to Jets
yeah,
Habs.
yeah, we needed
Like,
to see the Vladislav Nemestikov empty net goal for Winnipeg instead of seeing the replay of Brady Tkachuk's beautiful overtime goal. That's what the Sportsnet viewers really wanted to see. Like I can't believe that. First off, so I've only seen the goal once. I haven't had a chance to watch the replay yet, but it was a beautiful overtime winner from Brady Tkachuk.
yeah. To be fair, I usually shut the game off like as soon as when I'm doing the show. I usually, like, the game's done, okay, I'll turn it off and I come straight to my setup here. In this case, I did leave the TV on a little while longer just to watch the Habs lose, which was fun.
Yeah,
That was a
that
nice
is good.
moment.
I did like to see them lose at the end there, but I can't believe
Yeah.
that they just didn't even get a replay. I feel like whoever's making that decision, they were like, "Oh, the other game's almost over. Switch over there, switch over there. It'll be a good moment." And it's like we just had a good moment, and you didn't even let us like celebrate it quickly.
Yeah.
It was just, I mean, they showed the team celebrating for like 20 to 30 seconds, which was good, but like that was just such a nice goal by Tkachuk that I couldn't believe they didn't even show it a second time. So just huge props for Brady Tkachuk for that clutch moment, especially because I didn't think it was like one of his most noticeable games here tonight. I didn't think
No.
that he was like as dominant as he can be, but he's gonna have those nights. You can't do it 82 games a year where you're just like absolutely crushing it. So he comes up clutch when the team really needs it, and that's what we want from our captain.
Yeah. Just one of those times where, I mean, I also think that, like, I don't know, I don't think this is a hot take at all. I think it's pretty clear that this is like 30 games in, yeah, but like so far, like, I think it's safe to say that this is Kachuk's best season
Oh
of
yeah.
his career so far. And it's just one of those things where it's nice to see. Like, it does kind of feel like everything is coming together in that, like, even when he has the odd, like, not even an off night, like you said, just like not his best, he still finds a way to contribute. Someone just fell over here. I'm good. Never
Oh,
mind.
you good?
Yeah, everything's good. A ghost or something. Yeah, just like he's still finding a way to contribute at the end of the game, and like just kind of still be like, oh yeah, no, Brady had a great game. He scored the game winner.
Hmm. And over this month of December, it's funny how we talk about like the horrible November every year, and we did get it this year. But I feel like since the calendar has turned over to December, this might be the best, like, is it 6 or 7 games now? The best stretch of hockey over those course of games that the Sens have played, like in the entire, like you said earlier, since
Oh
the
yeah.
2016-17 season. Like, it's pretty outstanding because if I remember correctly, that shootout loss to Anaheim was December 1st. And then since then, the only game they've lost was that Islanders game, which they still dominated. So since then, it's just been like an absolutely like torrid pace to start December. And I didn't think this team had it in them, to be honest. Like, after all the losses I've covered, I keep coming on here and saying like this team just doesn't have them in it this year. They don't have the clutch ability. They can't even win 3 games in a row. But now I'm eating crow because they did win 3 games in a row, and it's just so nice to see. And just everything, it feels like everything's clicking at once too. It's not like they're scoring a boatload of goals, but the offense has been pretty steady over this course of games, and specifically the goaltending in Linus Ullmark. And there's been a handful of games here too where the defense has really limited the amount of saves that Ullmark has even had to make, which is huge too. So it really just feels like everything's clicking at once, eh?
Yeah, I believe 7-2-1 in their last 10, and one of those 2 losses being against the Islanders. Like that's a game that you think the Sens win 9 out of 10 times. Um, just like they're looking so good. Yeah, outside of that like 5-2 loss to LA, like you lose to the Ducks in the shootout. That's not, I don't love that, but like,
Yeah, that.
you can't be that mad at
Mhm.
it. Like you can be kind of like bummed, but like when you I don't know. I'm already feeling like I'm gonna be way too like I don't want to say I'm gonna be way too positive this show. I'm just gonna be like, hey, remember that bad thing that I was complaining about earlier? We're in that I'm in that like mood where I'm just like, everything's fine. Ignore all my complaints so far,
Mhm.
this season. But like 7-2-1 their last 10, probably should be 8-1-1 really, based off the result, versus I guess performance against the Islanders. Um, God, yeah, but just like you said, like the goaltending's been phenomenal. The defense has absolutely helped out in a bunch of games. Um, but like also Linus Ullmark with like his worst game in the last 2 weeks with only a 928. Like what a bum.
Yeah, like you look at the stats tonight and somehow that's like way worse than his last like 2 weeks of hockey, which is crazy because that's a really good performance still. Only 2 goals against on, it was like 24 shots or something like that.
28 shots.
28. They got up to 28 in the end. There's
Dude
been.
had a great night, and it was like, and like, it's just wild to say that like, yeah, like, because I think it was on December. Actually, let me just look at his game log. Here we go. On December 1st, he had a 912. Since then, 950, 973, 969, 1,000, obviously against Carolina with the shutout, and a 928 tonight.
If I remember correctly, just before that stretch of games, I don't remember the exact date that I looked at the stat, but his save percentage at somewhere right before those stretch of games, his save percentage was 886. And I think he's way above 900 now, which is
He's at a
amazing.
910.
Yeah, he's at a 910 now. He turned it around that much in like
That's
6 games,
crazy.
which is absolutely ridiculous. Like,
That's absurd.
just a couple of weeks ago, it was like, oh, is Ullmark really the right fit for this team with how it's built? Like, is giving him a whole bunch of money going to be worth it? And then like he flipped all those opinions to just have everyone like fully back on the Ullmark train so quickly. And yeah, even.
Not to toss strays or anything, and like starting fights with people, but worth noting that Jeremy Swayman through 21
Oh,
games played is at an 885 right now.
holy crap! Yeah, he got shelled the other night in Winnipeg. I think he was in for
So,
all 8 goals against. Oh my god. Anyway,
like,
like Ullmark has had rough games too, so it's
oh,
not like
for
an
sure.
indictment on Swayman or anything, but it is pretty funny that it's turned around for Ullmark at about the same time that it's dipped for Swayman, even worse. And speaking of the Bruins too, the Sens are currently in a wild card spot, but they're only 1 point back of Bruins for third in the division, which honestly surprised me because the Bruins, after they fired the coach, had like a pretty good run. I think it was like 7-2-0. But then they've got absolutely blown out in their last 2 games. They're playing Vancouver tonight, so we'll see how that turns out. But it's like the wild card position might not be the floor. Like that third in the division spot might actually be attainable, which is amazing. Like Tampa Bay's in the mix too there. We're tied with Tampa Bay for points, but like it seemed for a bit there that Boston had given themselves a big cushion, but we've caught right back up, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Tampa's going to take that 3 spot. They have 4 games in hand on Boston and 3 in hand on Ottawa.
Okay, I didn't realize they had
Um,
played that few games.
yeah, they're so yeah, Ottawa and Tampa are both at 32 points, just with Tampa playing 27 games. Um, so like give Tampa another game, they get a win, and they're going to be the 3rd team in the division with a 600 or better point percentage. But no, like that like what a great year for nobody in the Atlantic to look genuinely like scary,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
the Sens needed this where it's usually in the Atlantic just four obviously really good teams being Florida, Tampa, Toronto, and Boston. So the fall off of Boston, if it continues, that's probably the team that the Sens could possibly snatch a playoff spot from. I think, like you said, Tampa could easily with the games in hand get that third division spot. But yeah, it's it's looking like there actually is a chance at the Sens to at least get close to a playoff spot, because I'm not even gonna get on the full like, oh, we're definitely gonna make it train, but I because my
Right.
expectations are low. If you remember back in the offseason, our predictions, I think we both predicted the Sens to finish fifth in the division, which was
Yeah.
basically saying that could be in a wild card spot or it could not be. It would probably be like eighth seed or ninth seed. And that's about where they are right now. They're right in the mix. So whether they end up making it or not, I'm just so happy that we're in December. We're halfway through December and we're actually able to talk about the Sens having a chance. It feels so weird, and it's I'm just so happy. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah, part of me is just, it's that relief of seeing where the team is at this point of the season, but also like I'm just waiting for some of these teams to finally like really really turn it on and go on a run. Like it, at this like the top 2 teams in the division are Toronto and Florida. They've both won 18 of 30 games so far. Those are the top teams in the division. Like they won 18 of 30 games, and I know that like in NHL terms, technically they've only lost 10 of their 30 games just because, the loser point and everything and how that works. So like 18, 10, and 2 is a good record for both of them. But just like the number, they've won 18 of 30 games. That doesn't feel super, super scary, right?
Hmm.
So it's only a matter of time until those top teams probably really, really turn it on and go a little crazy here. But yeah, like right now, this is Ottawa's best shot at making the playoffs. Uh, I think honestly, like the way things are going right now, the right players are hot. The conference is weirdly not awesome in general. So far this season, so I think it's just one of those like perfect storms of like, all right, if you can't make the playoffs now, I don't know when the hell
Oh
you do.
God. Yeah, it's like the goal. It looks like a golden opportunity right now. Like you said,
Yeah.
there's other teams that could turn it on, that have been known to turn it on later in the season, that could make things harder for the Sens. But yeah, it really does look like a chance that if they don't make it, you'll be kicking yourself. It's funny too, because they often like to cite the stat of where teams rank at American Thanksgiving for whether or not you'll make the
Mm,
playoffs, and like 90% of the time, if you're not in at that time, then you're not gonna make it. But like
yeah.
we're 2 or 3 weeks past that now, and we've switched things around. We're up there, so I don't know.
It
It's
helps when your goalie has like a 960 over his last 5, 6, 7 games or whatever it is
Yeah,
for Ullmark,
that's the
but
thing too, is those numbers are probably really unstable or unsustainable, but he did win a Vezina, so like you never know.
it's
Linus Ullmark might just be able to keep it up like longer than expected.
yeah, it's like he has like really unsustainably bad numbers followed by unsustainably amazing numbers, and just kind of hope that he falls somewhere in between.
Yeah, we need him to level out a bit, because yeah, if he dips back into one of those stretches of of poor numbers, that's probably going to result in a losing streak for the Sens. And like, hey, you see when he's on a hot streak, the Sens can put some wins together too. So yeah, if he can just settle in the middle of like something like a 2.5 GAA and just like average above 900 save percentage, like that'll give the Sens a chance to win on most nights, I think. So yeah, as long as the numbers don't dip super low, like it's looking pretty good. And we have to give full credit to him too, playing back-to-back nights today, because last weekend a lot of people wanted him to play back-to-back nights. The coach wasn't going to do it, And today, the coach wasn't going to do it either. Travis Green had initially told reporters that Anton Forsberg was going to play, but he came down with an injury right before the game. So it actually wasn't even the plan tonight, and Linus Ullmark still performed amazingly. So full credit to him for that too. And it's kind of funny how things work out, that the coach wasn't going to do that, and it probably ended up being the right decision, especially because we saw how Forsberg's previous performance was on the second half of a back-to-back.
Yeah. God, when if ever would Allmark have ever played a back-to-back?
I think
Because like
I
it was
saw
always
a
back and
tweet.
forth with him and Swayman, so like naturally neither
Yeah.
one of them would ever have played back-to-back
It
days.
would almost never happen. I think I saw a tweet saying that he's never done it, which to be honest doesn't surprise me because I think it's very rare for goalies to do it in
Yeah.
general. So that's huge too. Like the fact that he's not used to playing that much. Like you said, in the tandem with Swayman, it was always one game on, one game off, unless one of them was injured. Then you'd have to start a few in a row. But he's started like 7 of the last 8 games at this point too, and putting up great numbers while doing it. Because early in the season too, when his numbers were up and down, it was a bit of a question of should you just give him a bunch of games to get him in his groove and hope that he figures it out, or should you keep flipping him and Forsberg in the tandem setup because that's what he's used to from Boston? But now he's played a lot of games recently and he's put up his best stats of the season. So maybe, just maybe, he's not just a tandem goalie and he can actually start a lot of games for this team. You don't want to overwork your goalies, but if
No.
a guy can put up great stats while playing 60 plus games, like you might as well give him those games.
Yeah, you don't want to have to, Craig Anderson playing 70 games, whatever season that was with Colorado.
Oh God.
Um,
He probably
but
did that a couple times for Ottawa too, playing like 90% of the season.
something crazy. But yeah, like I'm happy to say that I was one of those people who was saying that like I don't care how, because at one point, like this is very early on, this is like what, maybe like 7-8 games into the season, Forsberg was looking like the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point I was saying like no, like you just extended Allmark 4 more years. This team can only win if he's like firing on all cylinders. Like he needs to be as good as possible. You need to get this guy right. Just give him the net until like, you can't anymore, I guess.
Yeah, with the contract that he was given, it makes sense to be like, just we need him to figure it out and we need him to be the guy. And it seems like he
Yeah.
is going to be able to do that, which is just amazing to see. It's huge for this team.
The number of like even in the last 2 weeks, the number of huge game saving saves, absurd saves that shouldn't have happened. I think we've seen more of those in the last 2 weeks than fans of this team have seen in the last 5 years.
Possibly, yeah. Like it's
It's
hard.
crazy.
It's hard to remember because even like when your team is bad, you still have moments where like the goalie will make an amazing save, but then you just forget
Right.
about it. You forget about it because then you lost the game 5-1 anyway. Because there's those circumstances, when you're getting dominated every night, getting outshot like 40-20 every game. The goalies
Mhm.
are gonna make some good saves when they're just getting shelled. They'll be able to like save a few that they shouldn't, but
Yeah.
to have this many amazing saves while also having winning hockey too, that's totally different.
Yeah. And I don't know if I would necessarily say that like, and I don't think like the team played poorly in any of those games. If I just run back to Allmark's insane run here, um, like for Ottawa, like I don't think any of those games he necessarily stole a
That's the
win,
thing, right? Because
which
even
is something
though
crazy.
when you see goalie stats that good, you think, oh, he's just carrying the team. I feel like it's the team's play has also helped him out too, because I think I said this earlier, but there's been a handful of games where they've really limited the amount of high danger chances against him and even shots in total. And I
Mhm.
feel like a couple of the shot counts that he's faced recently have been a bit inflated too. Like specifically that Nashville game. Nashville was on like 26 shots with like 5 minutes left in the game, and somehow they got to 38. And I don't know how that even makes sense. Like I watched that with my own eyes and I don't think I saw 12 shots on goal in the final 5 minutes. Like there were some
Yeah.
scrambles in and around the net and stuff, but like for the majority of that game, the Sens defense protected the net really well, and I think they did that here tonight too. The only times that the defense like struggled tonight, I think, was when you could tell that the 5-man unit was visibly tired.
Oh,
Like
just
the
gassed.
last
Yeah.
10 minutes of this game, especially in the third period, they were really gassed, and I was worried they were going to give up the game-winning goal before overtime, but luckily they
God,
had.
like how many times have we seen that too this season?
Yeah, it would have been so deflating, and it would have been such like classic Sens to lose the game in that fashion, but maybe things are different now.
Yeah, I was fully prepared for another like result that we saw like earlier this season, like against Vegas, against Philly. Like I was
Yeah.
ready for another one of those. Especially like because they looked so tired towards the end of the second. And I was thinking like, oh boy, here we go. This third period is gonna be rough, isn't it? And then Pittsburgh ties it, what, 3 minutes in, 2.5 minutes in, something like that.
hmm
And at that point I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
Oh
at that
no,
point
here
you're
we go.
expecting like a 3-1 Pittsburgh final, with an empty net.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, and like last note on Ullmark too that I want to say is that Letang goal, at first I was like, "Oh, that can't go in." But I honestly think that was a sneaky, really good play, really smart play by
Yeah.
Chris Letang, because he just chucked it on net at the exact moment that the Penguins forward screened in front of Ullmark. Like he timed that perfectly. That's a goal where if Ullmark sees that, he's going to save it 99% of the time. It was just timed so perfectly that he couldn't get it. So unfortunate on that one, but hey, it seems to me that if Ullmark can see the pucks, he's going to stop them, which is great. Like a lot of the times that he's been beaten during the course of this last 10 games where he's played really good, it's mostly because he's been screened, I find. So or if it's
Yeah.
just like a play where you don't even expect the goalie to make the save anyway. So super happy with that aspect of his game too. If he can see it, he can save it. Sometimes he's not going to see it if the other team makes the perfect screen play, but
Yeah.
if the Sens defense is playing well, they should be able to prevent that most of the time, I would think.
For sure. That Letang goal was actually it was kind of a lot like Batherson's hat trick goal on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Just kind of like just like let me just launch this from the point and see what happens, and it just by some miracle snuck in.
hmm Um, I think we've already been going pretty long on our first segment here. Before we throw it to the second segment, do you have any last little short thoughts on tonight's game?
Go Sens, go baby.
Hell yeah, go Sens go. We're going for the playoffs now. So coming up in our second and third segments, I'm going to cheat it a little bit and turn one topic into two segments. We're going to be doing some player grades for the entire Senators roster because I feel like the 30 game mark is a pretty good time to be doing that. It's a little over a third of the way through the season, so it's not like an exact benchmark, but I feel like it's a pretty good chunk where we can start to judge the performance of the players a little bit too, and we can also get into like how we thought those players played tonight as well, if there's any like specific moments that stood out to you too as well. But before we do that, just going to get a quick plug for our merch, Game Over's merch. Oh, I clicked the wrong one. That I almost played the outro there, but the slideshow is now up showing the merch. Please check out the merch on the GameOverNetwork.com. We've got new items for winter, which you can use the code GOHolidays to get 15% off of all the winter products, which is the hoodies and the beanies. This will be active until December 25th with a different sale dropping on Boxing Day. So check those out. If you know anyone else who loves the show, could be a good Christmas gift idea, or if you just want to treat yourself with a little gift to yourself this Christmas. We've got lots of apparel and cool stuff going on over there on thegameovernetwork.com. So be sure to check that out. Now, into period number 2. Gonna go with these player ratings, and since we were just talking about goaltending and defense, I figure we should start with that. Do you wanna go
Sure,
with
yeah.
that first? Because and we might as well just go with Linus Ullmark. To start with, what would you give Linus Ullmark for his overall play so far this year? We're going letter grades for this one.
We included like minuses and pluses in there too, like the whole deal.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Allmark, I don't want to be too blinded by his absolute domination over the last couple of weeks.
That's fair.
I mean, given I'm comfortable with an A. I think given
Okay.
the absolute death of the league, like a cross league average save percentage over the last couple
Yeah,
seasons,
that's a good
I
point.
think a 9-10, as not flashy as that looks to a lot of people, like I think just given how high scoring has become, how brutal the average save percentage is. Like now, if a goalie has like a nine, has like low 920s, you're like, oh, Vezina. That was not the case just a few years ago. So, I think Ullmark with a 910, I think that places him well above league average through 20 games played. Um, yeah, I'm very comfortable with an A. I won't say A plus. A plus, I think you're in Vezina territory. Right now, I just think he's in like, on the whole of the season at a 910. I'd call him, you know, uh, comfortably above average.
It's interesting because I feel like before the season, if you told me he would have a 910 save percentage and like whatever the GAA is, I think it's around 2.5 or something.
Yeah.
I would definitely also say A. For me, the hot and cold that we've seen, probably I would bump him down a little bit. I lean a little more
Okay.
to like A minus B plus, just because, like you said, I don't want to be too blinded by the recent hot streak. But even though it is super encouraging, because again, like 3 weeks ago, if we were doing this, Linus Ullmark's letter grade probably would have been like a C at best or something like that. But he's turned it on. He's shown us what he can do, and like I would probably go B plus to A minus, and it can only get better, right? Like the reason I'll say B plus is because the 910 save percentage at the moment is really good. The question is, can he maintain that as his consistent
Mhm.
for the rest of the season? I think that finishing the season with a 910 save percentage versus having it at the 30 game mark is a huge difference, right?
Definitely. And worth noting as well, real quick, I just looked it up according to Hockey Reference. Through 472 games played in the NHL this season by goaltenders, the average is dead on exactly 900.
Oh wow. So he has pulled himself way above average, which is funny because he was way below it just before this hot
Yeah.
streak. It's crazy how that works with goalies,
And
how the stats can switch so quickly.
just 9 years ago in the 15-16 season, the average was 915.
Mhm.
That is crazy.
Yeah, back then I think the Vezina nominees would all be around like
930
927,
something.
930, yeah,
Yeah.
or if someone did something crazy like there was the short season where Craig Anderson had like a 940, which was just silly.
And
Um
yeah, didn't win because he
didn't
got hurt
even
too.
yeah, didn't even did
Brutal.
he even get nominated? I don't remember.
No, I don't think he played enough
They
games.
snubbed him, but yeah, with the save percentage being way down across the league, if you finish with a 910, that's amazing at this point. And even last year for the Vezina nominees, I think Hellebuck was around a 920, and then I think it was it Demko and Bobrovsky, and then I think they were both around like 915 ish. So yeah, like
Yeah.
910 is probably like way up there, like top five,
Yeah.
top 10 save percentage is in the league. I haven't had a chance to look, but
Yeah.
he's putting himself back in the Vezina conversation if he can keep this up. It's all about the consistency, of course. So for me, so far, I rate him a little bit lower, going with the B plus overall. But it's just
Fair.
again, if he finishes the season with a 910 at the end of the season, that's an A for me,
For
definitely.
sure. Yeah. And worth tossing out there too. Everyone watching, feel free to toss in your own letter grades in the chat as we go along too with each player.
Yeah, for sure, because obviously our final segment is always taking a look at chat. So if we see any hot takes in there, we will definitely
That's not an
discuss them.
invitation for any hot
Yeah,
takes for
yeah.
the sake of
Not
hot
that you
takes,
need
though,
to
guys.
make any hot takes, but if you have any interesting differences of opinion, be sure to let us know in the chat because we'll be checking the chat at
Definitely.
the end of the show as always.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other goalie, Antoine Forsberg. This is another tricky one for me because
I'm just gonna say F for
just
Forsberg.
going F right away. Okay,
He's
because
unusable.
okay, because it's fucked because he has two shutouts on the season and then somehow has like
Which is yeah,
889.
just goes to show how bad his other
That's the thing.
games
So,
have been.
like, I called Linus Ullmark hot and cold, but Forsberg is that times 100, right? So
Maybe I shouldn't have said F, but like
the thing is as well in his shutouts. Well, you know what? The Utah game where he got a shutout, he definitely stole that one. The Sens got outplayed in Utah. Then he had the
yeah,
shutout against
yeah.
Seattle, but I was gonna say he didn't really steal the game in that one. That was just kind of like a even low scoring game where the Sens managed not to get scored on. So like I do give him a little bit of credit. But yeah, if you if you're stealing one game and then you're absolutely selling the next game and just like handing the other team the W on a plate like he did against the Islanders, that has to balance out to being pretty bad, right?
So Utah was his first shutout. His second shutout was against Seattle. Since that shutout against Seattle,
Oh no.
through 5 games, He has an 862.
Oh my god, I didn't think it was that bad. Holy shit. What so can you remind me which other games he played? Did he play he played
For
against
sure.
LA, I think?
It was the first loss against the Islanders
Okay.
that where, to his credit, the Sens didn't show up until the second half of the third. So,
Yeah.
you know,
But
to his
hell,
credit for that one.
even in that game, if I remember correctly, it was like 1-0 halfway through the game. So
Yeah.
he was kind of like keeping them in it a little bit. It's not I wouldn't say that one was his fault on the loss.
Yeah. Then Carolina
Yeah, that was a tough
in
game.
mid-November.
Mhm.
The win against Calgary. The LA loss
Yeah. Remember
on the
that one.
30th of November, and then that what should have been a win against the Islanders.
So yeah, if you're losing as many games for your team, like where it's solely your fault, as you are winning games, like where you're actually absolutely
Yeah, and
like that's pretty bad in the end. Like I don't think I'll go F because he has at least had a couple of good games, but like it's probably a D. You need better from your backup goalie than an 889.
yeah, and you know what? Like, I should probably change my answer because like I covered that brutal loss where the Sens dominated against the Islanders,
Mm-hmm.
and in that show, I said like Forsberg didn't do anything to help the Sens win, but the defense wasn't helping him at all. So I can't even call his 750 save percentage that game fully on him. Like
Okay.
the defense gave up 2 goals on the power play, like against the worst power play in the
Yeah,
league
the
that game.
penalty kill was
Was
atrocious.
brutal. So okay, I'm gonna pivot to a D. I should switch to a D. That's like
Okay.
he's been awful, but like, you know, in a couple of those games, I'm like, no, that's right. I did, you know, think that he wasn't their fault. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
his fault that they lost.
I
So
think
I'll
overall,
switch to a D.
though, I think overall with an expiring contract, he's not exactly making a case to get another one with the Sens. And like,
No, not a chance. Especially
and
with Sogard on a one-way next year. No
yeah,
way.
and if his stats can't improve to closer to league average as a backup too, like it's probably going to be a question of like staying in the league too. Like if his numbers stay as low as they are right now, it's like is another team going to give him a contract or like will it be a two-way deal or something like that? It's yeah, not great from Forsberg. Everyone knows that. But from there, you want to go over to the defensemen now. I think there should be some interesting ones here. There's a couple obvious ones
Yeah,
too, which I feel like let's go by the pairings, at least for how they've been playing lately, because the
sure.
Nick Jensen and Thomas Chabot pairing, I think for me, it's just A plus for both of them.
Yeah, I'd go A plus on Shabbat for sure. He's been unreal this season and tonight especially, goal and assist. And his assist being like, you know, entirely him. He bounced the puck off Batherson. Um, Phenomenal tonight, phenomenal this season. Jensen, it's tricky when you're trying to also include like expectations going into the season, like
Okay.
like
Were your
in
expectations
A.
low?
Yeah, yeah. To be honest with you, like an A for a fourth liner is gonna be different than an A for like a first line player. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so with Jensen, like, I don't think I have to go A plus, but like I'm happy throwing like I'd give him an A. I'd give him an A. I'll go Shabbat A plus and Jensen an A.
Okay. See, I think the expectations thing for me, for not expecting too much about Nick Jensen, not really having ever really watched him play before he came to the Sens, like I think that just raises it for me. I feel like because the bar was low, I'm like even more impressed with what I've seen from him. Like especially when combined with Shabbat as a pairing, it's funny looking at the stats right now. Just like plus minus isn't everything, but at a certain point, the amount of goals you're on for versus the amount of goals you're on against, when there's a big discrepancy among the
Yeah,
decor, it can be huge. And just Jensen plus 14, Shabbat plus 11. And I don't think this
that
is
is
even
pretty
updated for today
ridiculous.
yet. Actually, it is because it has Shabbat with 2 goals. So I think it is updated. But those numbers compared to Sanderson and Hamannik with minus 13 and minus 9 as the other top 4 defense pairing, I feel like that discrepancy is just so huge that it's like I have to give that pairing an A plus for the first pairing, especially because Shabbat and Jensen were expected to be the second pairing. I don't think
Yeah,
we didn't expect Shabbat to be averaging more ice time than Sanderson. And I
No.
don't think, obviously, the Zub injury. Well, let me amend my statement quickly. Shabbat isn't currently for the whole season averaging more ice time than Sanderson, but I feel like in a lot of games lately he's been getting more than Sanderson. They've evened it out quite a bit more, and Shabbat Jensen has been deployed more as the first pair lately. And yeah, obviously it's because of the injury with Zub too, but I don't think I expected Nick Jensen to be playing 21 minutes a night either. So the fact that you can deploy what you thought was going to be your second pair basically as your first pair, and they'll have that much success, like that's just knocking it out of the park for me.
That's fair. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I don't know. There's something stopping me from giving Jensen the A plus, but
Damn, you're a
like
hater. What the
I'm a
hell?
hater. I'm a hater. Jensen has only been uh extremely over
He's only been a 90
productive.
95% out of 100,
That's
but not
right.
100%. I guess if you're
Nah.
it depends with the letter grades how you see it exactly, because I guess you could say that an A plus is 100%, but I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even realize this. He only has two fewer points than Shabbat. That's crazy.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think he got like 3 points in the last couple of games here, eh? Like,
That's crazy.
and you don't expect offense from him too. So when it does
No.
happen, like that's nice. That's a huge bonus.
I can't believe how like I mean, I going into the season, I could not believe how good he is at just carrying the puck.
Mhm.
Like he's so assertive. Maybe it's just because like we aren't used to seeing defensemen in Ottawa who who like to carry the puck out of the zone. But he's just so assertive with the puck in his own end. He's like, I'll just carry this over there. That's Thomas Shabbat over there. Nah, I got it. It's fine.
And like we've joked a lot about before in the show, if you could just clone Artem Zub and have two of him in the top four, that would be perfect. I feel like Nick Jensen is very close in playstyle to Artem Zub, but just better skating, better stick handling, and a little bit less physicality. But I feel like
Mhm.
having the two of them there, that's if of course if Zub was healthy, like that's pretty close to you can't clone Zub, but we got pretty close, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe how good that pairing has been this season.
And
Really
it's
impressed.
nice too, considering that Jacob Chikrin has been doing very good for Washington right now. Like
Oh, yeah.
this doesn't technically matter, but just the fact that he's scoring a lot of points for Washington, the trade optics, people will look at it and be like, "Oh, terrible trade for Ottawa because Chikrin has a bunch of points." But it's worked out for how this decor is shaped up now compared to how it was before
Yeah.
with three left-handed defensemen trying to force one of them to play on the right-hand side. That's never really a good idea unless you're Tampa Bay with Hedman, Sergachev, and McDonough, which is just not comparable. So
No.
the move that Steos made to get that right-handed defenseman in Jensen, he acquired the right guy for sure.
Definitely. Honestly, perfect fit.
Now that leads us to Sanderson and Hamonic, and to be honest, like we're making up these letter grades on the fly, and to be honest, I still haven't decided what I'm gonna say for either of these two yet, because with Hamonic, there's the big qualifier that he shouldn't be playing this high up in the lineup. And to be honest, if you told me that Travis Hamonic was going to be playing as much ice time as he has been and playing every single game for the Senators so far this season, I would have expected his performance to be a lot worse. So I'm not sure what I'm going to rate him yet. I'll let you go first on that. And it also applies to Sanderson too, because Sanderson's stats don't look good, but then of course he's stapled to Hamonic for like
Yeah.
70% of the season so far. So let's start with Hamonic. What are you going with? You're struggling not to say F right now, right?
Yeah. I'm really struggling on CF
Oh my
because I
god.
think I've had this conversation with Louis from the Zoomcast a whole bunch that Hamnick is like should be like 9 or 10 on the depth chart on D.
Yeah, that's tough because we have a couple of right hand D down in Belleville that I would honestly like to see get a look instead of Hamonic, but it just hasn't happened yet.
I just like I don't know. The fact is he's playing on the top pair. Um and does he get the occasional block that's very helpful? Yeah. Is it usually off a turnover that he caused in the defensive zone? Yeah. It's like it's this weird kind of back and forth. I don't know. Like he shouldn't be in the lineup. It's such a weird thing with him. He shouldn't be in the lineup. He's playing on what on paper should be the top pair.
Yeah, but also I feel like it should be the top pair, but like I was saying, they've been deploying the Shabbat Jensen pairing as the top
Yeah.
pair a lot more, which is an indictment on the Sanderson Hamonic pairing, is that
Yes.
we need to give them less ice time specifically because Hamonic is on that pair, and that's a big problem. Um, but for
I'll go
me,
D minus.
D
I'll go D
minus.
minus on Hamonic.
For me, it's like, should I be a little bit nicer to him just because the Sens are currently in a playoff spot, 2 games above 500, and I would have expected their record to be much worse with Hamonic playing that many minutes. It's hard though because like his actual advanced stats and on ice stats
Yeah.
are just not good.
Well,
They're just blatantly bad. But then somehow the team's
my
winning.
thought process, I'll spoil this.
Mhm.
My thought process is also he's the reason I'm giving Sanderson a C.
Okay, yeah. See, that's the thing is I was thinking you have to lower Sanderson's like results in general are not good, but then I'm wondering,
Yeah.
do you give him a bit of the benefit of the doubt because Hamonic is with him, or do you,
Yeah.
or is it just the fact of the matter is because of the circumstances, they still like Sanderson? It's up to Sanderson himself to like play better, despite the circumstances. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think you need to give Sanderson a bit of leeway because he's stuck with Hamonic, but at the same time, I don't know. Because Sanderson has such a hot start. I think I'm also partly blind to the fact that he had such a hot start to the season.
Yeah, his first
And
5 or 6 games, I think he had 6 points, right?
yeah, with none 5v5.
Ooh.
Um, so now he's got like what 10-ish points in his last 25 games, which isn't the worst in the world. Like I thought this was going to be the year that we see him, really break out and hit like 55, 60 points, which he still could. Like there's still plenty of time for him to do that. He just needs to not be anchored down. But I also like I'm watching Sanderson like, and I don't know if it's one of those things where maybe he's like, I don't want to get in, I don't want to like try and analyze what they're thinking. Like I don't want to be like, I think Jake Sanderson thinks Travis Hamonic is a terrible hockey player, and this is why he's playing the way he is.
Oh
But he's
God.
making so many more mistakes than we've seen him make in previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's him overthinking everything, like, oh shit, I got to do this all myself, or like what it
Yeah,
is.
it's probably
But
trying to do too much.
yeah,
And yeah, you're right about Sanderson's production, that he can still turn it on out of nowhere, especially that the Sens power play has continued to be really good and he's still getting those power play points. But I feel like we're talking about the whole thing about how much does Hamonic impact his rating is, if it's probably changed by now, but a while ago there was the stat of they've only been on the ice for 1 goal at 5-on-5, the Sanderson Hamonic pairing. So I don't know if they've gotten a couple more since then, but that's still really bad, and it probably still ranks worst on the team in terms of the goal share. So you know what?
yeah,
Actually, I do have Natural Stat Trick open here, and I don't have it sorted by the pairs, so it's including like Sanderson and Zub together specifically. But in terms of the goal differentials, Travis Hamonic is not last on the team. Last on the team is Zub, because when Sanderson and Zub actually are together, somehow they were just as bad, which is another thing that's kind of weird. I feel like a bit of that you have to give Sanderson negative points for is in the games where Zub was back. That pairing didn't really look any better than
no.
when Hamonic was there.
Though
But
Zub hasn't looked the same since his first injury
that's the thing too.
as well.
We might as well lump him in here too. Is that I would probably give Zub like a D plus. The
Yeah, I was thinking C minus.
the on ice results are just not there. Yeah, in
Yeah.
terms of the goal share that I was about to say, Artem Zub in his games is one goal for at 5v5 and 9 against. So that's last on the team.
Oh,
What I was getting at is that Hamonic is second last, and if you don't count Zub because he hasn't played most of the games, then Hamonic is last with 6 goals for at 5v5 and 15 against. Sanderson with 10 goals for and 21 against, which is basically if you just add Zub and Hamonic's together, then
Right.
you end up with almost the same numbers. Not exactly, because there's weird situations where sometimes they're on the ice with another defenseman that's not their partner. But yeah, it's a 28.57 goal share for Travis Hamonic at 5v5 and a 32.26% for Jake Sanderson, which is way worse than the other pairings. Like Clevin and Bernard Docker as the third pairing are way better than that, which is just tough. So like I guess I never gave my answers for the ratings. So for Sanderson, I'm gonna say C minus, and for Hamonic, I'm gonna say like D plus, because I feel like for Hamonic it would be an F if the team was doing really bad and was below 500 right now. But just the fact, I give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt in that they haven't totally tanked while playing him a lot, which is insane because the numbers feel like they should be tanking. Like the numbers are bad when he's on the ice, but somehow the team's still winning.
Yeah, really odd. Overall, just like this bunch of players we lumped together, all just, I think. Hamnick, I was expecting this from, but Zub and Sanderson, the fact that we're disappointed with them is a bit of a
which thank God for Chabot
surprising.
and Jensen. If you can get Sanderson and Zub playing well like they were last year at the same time as Chabot and Jensen, like, oh my God, that would be absolutely amazing. That the team would be set at that point. Like, but they just all season they haven't been able to get both of the top 4D pairings clicking at the right time. Part of that Zub being out of the lineup all the time, but yeah, even when he has been in, he hasn't been good. So it's tough. I guess probably pretty quick to wrap it up on Clevin and Bernard Docker. I don't know how much. I don't think I have too much to say about them, but for Clevin, I think he's been up and down. I'd probably give him like a B minus. And then for Bernard Docker, to be honest, I really like him. I'm saying like B plus for him. He should be playing ahead of Hamonic, to be honest. Like they should try that more often, I think. I think the main thing though is just that they don't want to break up Clevin and Bernard Docker as a pairing. They've been pretty good together. Then you would have to go to Clevin Hamonic as the third pairing, which would probably be a worse pairing than Sanderson Hamonic, just because of how much worse Clevin is than Sanderson, right? So I don't know. I like both of their seasons so far. I like JBD a bit better, even though Clevin has different aspects to his game that are, in terms of the physicality, that impact the game differently than JBD. But Clevin's been more up and down for me. I feel like he's a little bit mistake prone. So, well, what do you think?
For sure. Yeah, I'm exactly with you. I think JBD is a bit kind of steadier. Clevin has higher highs and lower lows. They both landed about a B minus B for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think overall, considering we were worried about defense depth coming into this season, that's pretty good for those two guys to be performing that well. Because like I'm still concerned about there not really being any good left-handed D behind Clevin on the depth chart. Because if any of the left-handed D get injured, then that's going to be really scary. But the fact that
the leading scorer in Belleville's a left D
is Sabrango.
Jeremy Davies.
Oh, Jeremy Davies. Okay, I didn't even know.
Sorry, he's tied for the lead in points on the team, but tied as a defenseman. 17
that's pretty
points
good. Okay,
in 21 games.
Okay, maybe Jeremy Davies is a call up option if someone gets injured. But yeah, I think just the fact that Clevin has had to play, he's just been given the role and just play every game. It's pretty good. Like it could be a lot worse for just throwing a rookie defenseman out there, but I think that overall he's shown he's ready for the NHL. And I think like we all knew his physicality was good. I think his skating and his puck skills have been getting noticeably better overall. Like he makes some stick handles with the puck while skating, while pivoting, that to be honest I wouldn't expect from a physical defensive D like him. So I like that aspect of his game lately too.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think I think I'll lay on B minus for both of them just because I'm happy with where they are. I think they're doing an all right job. I would not be upset at a trade to replace one of them at the deadline.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, because it would definitely be good to just improve the depth in general at the deadline. Yeah. But if you were to trade for a defenseman, the obvious spot would be like, assuming Zub is still injured, would be to just replace Hamonic and then keep that third pairing together, I think. Or Zub comes back and then you get a third pairing defenseman anyway, and then have JBD Hamonic as number 7, number 8. That would be ideal too.
Yeah, or like, nightmare scenario, Zub comes back. It still doesn't work. You put him with Clevin, I guess, if you're holding on to the left, right. I don't know how strict Travis Green is with that.
No, they can do that.
And then you try to acquire someone to play with Sanderson. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Yeah,
Like, if
so
you're taking
like,
one of them out, I would rather you take Clevin out over JBD just because he's a
mhm,
few more giveaways. Clevin nearly had a disaster at the end of the third there tonight.
yeah, that's the
Um,
thing. I think he's a little bit mistake prone, so you'd like to
yeah,
have another option behind him just
yeah.
in
But
case
then
he
he
gets
has
a
those
bad stretch of
flashes.
play. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can see the potential there where he's like just that big bruiser that if he can ever
Yeah.
develop into like a top 4D, he could be a huge asset for any team. So
Mhm.
we've seen the flashes of potential with Clement there. Yeah, I think overall for the decor, it's pretty good. It's just
Mhm.
Sanderson underperforming and the fact that Hamonic has had to play so many games. That's the main problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, from there, we'll throw it to a quick ad read for Hyperdrive Hockey. Check out the flagship show of Game Over Network on the Game Over Network YouTube channel. Hyperdrive Hockey, all things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries. Whatever it is and wherever it is, Max, Daphne, and Kev have you covered for all your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts on the Hyperdrive Hockey page at thegameovernetwork.com. Now, for our third segment, we're going forwards. We're going to do the player ratings for the forwards, and I think maybe we'll go a little bit faster on these ones because I feel like
Yeah.
there's going to be some obvious ones. Do you want to go top of the lineup first, or do you want to go like from the fourth liners up?
Let's go top of the lineup. Just so we can maybe spend a little bit more time talking about them, and then we're like, oh, okay, this show's too long. Then we can do like 3-word answers for the bottom six or something.
So I think we can pretty much group Stützle, Batherson, and Tkachuk in as all A's. Whether you want it to be A
Yeah,
minus, A, or A plus, they're all in the top tier, right?
for sure. Yeah.
It's Stützle just obviously on pace for his best season. Like he had a really good season 2 years ago, but he might be able to top that. To be honest, I don't know. He won't be able to get as many goals as he did in that year, most likely. But the assists, he's been able to be a goal threat and an assist threat this year, which is great. Because like I don't know, I look at 10 goals in 30 games and I'm like, it's not as good as his goal scoring pace was 2 years ago, but also it's way better than last year. I think he probably had like 4 goals or something at this time last year. The fact that he can actually
Yeah.
shoot the puck again is really nice, and we just know Timmy Stützle is just amazing. Obvious A plus. Brady Tkachuk, like you were saying earlier in the show, it could be his best season yet, especially if he is able to lead this team to the playoffs as the captain. And he's currently above point per game, just A plus obvious, and Drake
Yeah.
Batherson obvious A plus too because he's way outperforming his contract.
Yeah. I think they're all phenomenal. Having incredible seasons. Kachuk, looking like a genuine threat for like a 40-40 type season. And like I'm not gonna blame Stützle for the 10 goals so far because like his game plan recently has just been pass to Gaudette and it's
Yeah.
working.
Yep.
So
That's the thing. If he's just gonna be passing and he'll still get like 100 points anyway, that's fine by me. You can get 30 goals, 70 assists, or like 20 goals and whatever. So like that's perfectly fine.
yeah,
And I think his
currently on
two-way
pace
game has been
for
strong too.
98 points. So we'll see.
Nice. Yeah. Do you think he does it? Do you think he gets 100?
Oh, I would love it if he got 100. If I don't know. I earlier this season, I was like thinking about, like I don't know if I should I was gonna I think given how the team is like really starting to come together now, and like this is when the team's gonna turn everything around, make a really big push. I think Stützle finishes the season with the highest point total in Sens history.
Ooh,
He's
which
gonna hit that 106. He's gonna pass Heatley.
106?
He's gonna pass Heatley and Alfie
Holy
at
shit.
105.
Oh my god. Because to be honest, like if I was gonna bet on it, I would probably say he goes like just under 100, just because I'm like trying to be a little
Yeah.
grounded. But that
No, he's gonna score 106. He's gonna go 106 this year.
that would be crazy. I wouldn't say so just because I don't think they have like he doesn't have a Danny Heatley to be passing the puck to. He has an Adam Gaudette, which is good, but not quite like 50-07 levels of good.
Yeah.
But yeah, sky high expectations for Tim Stützle, and he's meeting them this season, which is nice to see after he struggled with injury last year. Let's go to Josh Norris, because he's fourth in scoring for the forwards, but it is a big drop off from those top three guys.
Yeah.
For me, I would say B plus for Norris at the moment. B or B plus. I think earlier in the season it would have been lower, but over the last couple of weeks as this team's been on a winning run, I think he's been a huge part of that. So, what do you think?
I'm good with the B.
Yeah, I think the two-way play and the goal scoring is just both huge for this team. He doesn't have a lot of assists, but he doesn't need to be dishing assists, right?
Yeah, and I do think that, like, I think I'd be a little bit tougher on him if he had, played more than like 2.5 games over the last 7 years or whatever. But
Yeah, that's true as well.
he's coming back from, hardly playing over the last couple of years, and like 12 goals in 30 games isn't necessarily the pace we were hoping for. Like in a perfect world, like we're like, oh yeah, dude's gonna put up like 40 or whatever. But yeah, it's that two-way part of his game that is really, really impressing me this season. Yeah, I'm happy with a B.
Because they're using him on all the defensive zone starts. Him and
Yes.
Giroux specifically, like no matter what the
That
lines
could also
are,
be
it's
affecting
usually...
his point totals too, right?
Yeah, I think so. It definitely affects the plus minus with at a -4 right now, but that's actually gone up over the course of the last few games. I remember seeing like -8 previously, so trending upward. And yeah, just playing a huge role for this team, chipping in offense and being able to provide defensive support as well. Also in the second line, Claude Giroux, 19 points, 7 goals in 30 games. What are you going for Giroux?
I'm feeling like B minus.
Yeah, I think he's starting to slow down a little bit. So I'll
Yeah.
agree with you with B minus. At just at the age of 36, it's gonna happen eventually. He's
Yeah.
like the last couple seasons in Ottawa, he's been like an obvious first line forward, and now he's sort of settling into being a good second line contributor. As players age, they go on that kind of slide down the lineup where it's like, okay, he was a superstar, now he's a good first liner, now he's into that like decent second liner, like only would be an okay first liner role at this point. But again, just still similar to Norris, brings a lot of things to the team, even when he's not scoring, specifically on face-offs. He's by far the best face-off taker. So
Yeah, and I'm not like that surprised. Like we knew when he signed that 3-year deal to come to Ottawa, we kind of knew that, like he'd be doing. I don't know if I'm reversed. What direction am I on the screen? Anyway, we knew he'd be doing this while the team would be doing this.
Yeah.
And it just happened to, it happens to be like the team is in the best position it's been in since signing him, while he's the oldest he's been since signing, which, we knew that was going to happen. So I don't want to hold that against him at all. He's still like very effective. Like, you kind of forget how old he is at certain times. Like there was one play tonight where he's still winning races to the puck.
When he beat Ryan Graves on that icing call, I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. Like I made a post making fun of Ryan Graves for that, but I also have to give credit for Giroux to actually winning that foot race, because that was impressive.
Yeah, like, if Giroux finishes the season with like 50, 55 points, I'm not upset with that. That's fine.
I think at a certain point the expectations have to go down, just because of that age curve. So I would say for that, Giroux, a B minus I think makes sense.
Yeah, he can't be the 35 goal, like 80 point guy he was every year that first season with the Sens. There's just no way.
Yeah, it's very rare for players to keep up the like exact same level of production until they retire. It just doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
then we have the surprise top 6 forward, which is Adam Gaudette. Obvious A plus. To be honest, I could have lumped him in. I could have lumped him in at the beginning as like one of the obvious high ratings, because the expectations were literally 0. I remember in preseason thinking like, oh, I don't want a guy like Adam Gaudette on the fourth line because he doesn't bring like that defensive grittiness that I would expect. But he's actually been pretty good at that. And then obviously the goal scoring gets moved up into a top 6 role at this point. It's just absolutely blowing expectations out of the water. There might not even be a player in the league that has surpassed his expectations as much as Adam Gaudette.
There's no way. Like he was fighting for the fourth line spot, and now he's like playing every night with like Tim Stutzla feeding him the puck. That's crazy.
They
Absolutely
showed
ridiculous.
on the broadcast today. They showed cost per point who had the most points for the
Yeah.
amount of money that their contract makes, and Drake Batherson was ranked as like the fourth best for that. But I think if you did cost per goal, then Adam Gaudette is at the top for sure, especially if you would exclude like entry level contracts, because if you include Matvei Michkov and like Macklin Celebrini in that's a little bit cheesy, just because they would be making more money if it was possible for them to, if not for the entry level contract thing. So yeah, Adam Gaudette, obvious A plus. I would even say maybe A plus plus. If you ever got
Yeah.
that test score when you got 100% when you're a kid in school.
I didn't.
Well,
I didn't.
if you ever saw that anyway as being a thing, if we're allowed to cheat the scale and say that A plus plus is a thing, then Adam Gaudette is the one player who gets that this season, I think.
For sure. This isn't current, because this was like what I did the math on when I was doing the show after that Islanders game. But at the time, Gaudette was on pace for 47 points, for 41 of those points being goals.
Holy crap.
Which is such a ridiculous, like,
Oh my
full on
God.
like Cy Young type season that we've seen before, like the 20 goal, 2 assist kind of guys, like that on steroids. But yeah, he's still kind of there. 13 goals, 3 assists.
You know, his I think his goal pace has dipped a little bit, but the assist pace has tripled in the last couple of games, because he was sitting on 1 assist for a while, but then he bagged a couple of apples. So it's the pace is really funny there. I would be shocked if he doesn't score 20. He might get 25. Yeah. Like, obviously the pace is gonna slow way down, but he has a chance at getting close to like 30 goals, which is insane.
Yeah, what I was saying on the last show I was on, I was just saying that, like, I really hope that Sens fans aren't going to be bummed when he doesn't put up 40 goals for the first time since Heatley.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people to, like, I don't want this to turn into, like, you know, a great story to all of a sudden people being like, he's a bum, he only scored 25 goals, when, like, because it's just such a huge shift. Like, I just hope people are, like, thrilled when he scores 25 goals this year, or whatever it might be.
Okay, even though it would be better for the team if he scored 40 goals, I almost don't want that to happen, because then how much money do you pay him on his next contract? I feel like if he settles in the 20 to 25 range, you can still re-sign him for like a decent raise, but not like way too much money, you know, like 1 year, 2 or 3 million. Whereas if he actually did some like crazy shit and scored 40, then you have like a bit of a contract problem on your hands, because it's like a 1 year wonder sort of thing, and you don't want to end up with like a Jonathan Chichu situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so obvious full marks for Adam Gaudette, 100% rating there. Let's go with the third line tonight, and for the past few games that's been really good in Cousins, Amadio, and Pinto. I think let's go with Pinto first, because he obviously has been the main guy other than Sanderson, who's been way below expectations. I'm kind of torn on how harsh I want to be on him, because he did have the injury in the middle of this in this goal drought that might have affected things, especially because I think when he came back from injury, he looked slower and he wasn't getting into scoring positions. It kind of made sense that he wasn't scoring for a while, whereas the last couple of weeks before he got his goals against Carolina, you could tell that he was playing much better and the goals were going to come. He was getting a lot of chances. So like overall his stat line is probably like a D, I would think. But in terms of me wanting to give him a bit of the benefit of the doubt, I almost want to say like C minus, but I don't know if that's too generous.
I don't know, like I think I'm honestly comfortable with just like a flat C, just like a regular C. I definitely want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think that, like, I mean, Cousins and Amadio have been looking better over the last few games, but Pinto hasn't necessarily had a ton to work with either.
Yeah, he doesn't have the best line mates overall throughout the whole season. It's been just like before they got this line playing pretty well together, it was just kind of like a grab bag of random line mates for him.
Before Gaudette went nuts, it was Greg getting all the top 6 looks.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And also last season when he came back from the suspension, if I remember correctly, he was just thrown onto a line with Tkachuk right away. Like first line and second power play unit, and he had pretty good production doing that. Obviously Josh Norris not being there was the main reason for that. So I can't help but think that if Pinto was playing higher up in the lineup, the stat line would be much better. This is really the first time that he's actually settling into that third line role, because the past 2 seasons have been without Josh Norris for the majority of it. So the last 2 seasons he was a second liner. Now he's a third liner. It makes sense for there to be a bit of a production dip for that. So I think you can give him a bit of the benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah, I'm happy with the C.
Cool. And then Mike Amadio, I feel like, again, a few weeks ago probably would have been a D, but this line's been playing great lately, so I'd probably raise him up to like a C- or a C. I know that he's not a huge point producer over his career, but I think I would have liked to see a few more goals at this point. 2 goals in 30 games is just really bad. His last 2 seasons in Vegas, he had like, I think 14, 15 goals somewhere around there, and he's on pace for like 6. So
yeah, no, I'm completely with you there. C-, maybe even a D+.
Yeah.
Like, he's just...
I think he's really useful in terms of the two-way play, but you need a little more than that for the cap hit that he's making, I think.
For sure.
And then Nick Cousins as well is super up and down, playing some of the best hockey that we've seen from him lately, but he's also had stints where it's like you don't know if he should remain in the lineup. So I'd probably go like C- for him as well at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going either C- with Amadio or a D+ for Cousins. Just because Cousins, to me, like if I'm picking between Cousins or Amadio to keep in the lineup, like say they acquire someone and those are the 2 options, I'm taking Cousins out every time.
Agreed. Ridley Gregg, 2 goals, 7 points in 27 games played, -9. I feel like this is also, he's not going to be a huge goal scorer, but again, 2 goals in almost 30 games played, similar to Amadio. It's like you would like a couple more, at least like 4 or 5 goals by now. He brings the pest dynamic and the ability to be a shit disturber, which we love. That's never going to go away. But in terms of actual production and results, it's not great. Like I'll probably another C- there, I'd say.
I will give him the C just because he's still only 22. Like I want to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think I'll go Cousins D+, Amadio C-, Greg C, Pinto. What did I say? C? So I'll go C for both Pinto and Greg.
Okay.
So like I'm just like trying to I'm like mapping out the bottom 6 in my head with these grades right now. So I'll right now of the bottom 6, Greg and Pinto are at the top with a C for me. Anyway.
That makes sense. Yeah, and then we're on to like Noah Gregor. Who cares? Like, I mean, he's good. I like his speed in the bottom 6. He's good to have, but again, he's like probably should be the 13th forward. The fact that he's played 25 out of 30 games so far is a little bit too much for me. But that's just circumstances of there being injuries.
Like I'm comfortable with like a C- on him. Like when he's in the lineup, he's fine. I think that the team should ideally be aiming to have depth that doesn't require him to be in the lineup.
Yeah, that's the thing is because in the first month of the season, there was games where he was on the second line at 5-on-5, and that really pissed me off. It's like that should never be happening. So yeah, I agree with you on that rating. And then Zach McEwen. Honestly, I'm giving him an A for the games that he played. He's ended up getting sent down by now, but just the bar was so low for Zach McEwen that he's
just for that game against LA.
The one game against LA, that was pretty much his only production, but it was more than I expected. So good for him. And even after that game where he got a couple of goals,
give him an A for AHL.
Yeah, exactly. So even after those goals, like I liked him on the 4th line for a while there. It was the circumstances of Pinto coming back to the lineup that got him sent down. So pretty
and if you're looking for speed and a guy who's going to hit everything, he's perfect for that. Like the dude has so much energy. I will say, like, I don't love Zach McEwen as like a depth piece on a team that's trying to make the playoffs, but just like if you're just like looking at him as an individual, like every shift the dude is flying.
Exactly. So I love that about his game. And if we have to call him back up again, use him on the 4th line, I'd be happy to see it. Whereas previously, if we called him up, I was like, ew, I don't want to watch Zach McEwen on my hockey team. But the opinion has changed a little bit. And then Zach Ostapchuk and David Perron
should have had a goal tonight. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was crazy. I feel like I haven't seen... He has played 16 games, but I feel like I haven't seen enough of Ostapchuk to give him a rating. I'd probably just say, like, C or C minus because I don't have expectations. It's just like big guy,
Yeah.
plug him in on the fourth line. He doesn't have the jump that McEwen has in his game, but he's a big body who seems to know where to be positionally. So I ain't mad at it, I guess.
Yeah. I'm just bummed because like that would have been his first NHL goal.
Oh
And
yeah, I forgot that he didn't score yet. I forgot he
yeah,
hasn't even scored.
like through his career, he has 2 points in 23 games.
Mm-hmm.
Going over the last 2 seasons. He had 8 points in 9 games with Belleville this season, so like he should be on the NHL team at this point.
Yeah.
I just wish that, they gave him a better opportunity, I guess, with who he's playing with, but also who do you put him with in the bottom 6 and be like he should be, I don't know, what do you do? Greg, Pinto, Ostapchuk?
Honestly, I would try it just for fun.
I think that'd be fun. Then
I'd
you
be
go
down with that.
Amadio, Cousins, and Gregor.
Sure, why not?
I don't know if that works because you got like
I think for
because
now,
Ostapchuk's a center, but like Pinto you'd want to keep Pinto at center. Can you
who plays right
stick
wing?
Greg
there
on
is
the
thing.
right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think just
I don't
he might have a little more offense to his game than what we've seen, but it's just he's only gonna be in that fourth line spot for now. So it is what it
Exactly,
is. And then the only player that we haven't mentioned yet is David Perron, which I will just give him a question mark rating because where is he?
Yeah.
He doesn't exist anymore. So he has ceased
Yeah,
to
I mean
exist.
he injury issues, obviously like off ice, family, scary stuff, with him. Pointless through 9 games.
Yeah, I feel like in the games that he's played, he has had some pretty good chances to score that he hasn't finished on. So I feel like he's in and around the net, he's buzzing, but he hasn't like actually produced anything. So like if I was to rate just the 9 games, it would be probably an F for having 0 points, but also 9 games with the circumstances that he's been in and out of the lineup is not really a fair way to judge him fully. So I feel like
I don't think I can't even give him I'll give him an H for hope.
Yeah, that's why I went with the question mark rating because he's just who knows. He's a bit of a wild card at this point. If he can come back and be useful, that's amazing. If he comes back and he isn't useful, then that's really bad. So considering his cap hit.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's all the players now. I didn't mention Cole Reinhardt because he's only played 5 games, and I don't think we care to give Cole Reinhardt a rating at the moment.
I don't think it's fair to do that to him yet.
Yeah, if we can't do it to Perron for
2 points
games.
in 5 games, 15 points in 12 games in Belleville.
Oh yeah, in Belleville, if you're rating his Belleville stats, he's an A+.
He's unreal.
For sure.
He's crushing it. Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean I'd be happy to see him get some more games.
If you include his
later this
preseason
season.
games, he looked so good in the preseason with Ottawa as well. Yeah, I mean, he's only 24.
Surprisingly, some decent depth options at forward for the Sens that I didn't expect. Like, I didn't expect Cole Reinhardt to be one. I didn't expect Zach Ostapchuk to be playing at the level he is. In terms of, like, in Belleville. He started to score in Belleville and got the call up sooner than I expected. So, decent forward depth. Even though certain guys haven't been scoring as much as you'd like, there is options that hopefully we can, like, move things around and find the right mix, I think.
For sure. I think, I don't know how much of that depth is going to come in as far as, actually being an important part of the team unless there's serious injuries. Because I imagine this team, not that they have a ton of cap space, but I imagine this team is going to hopefully be buying at the deadline. So you're probably going to see a lot of these guys get pushed down even further, but we'll see.
Especially if Zub is still on injured reserve at that time. Like, if he's not able to come back, then that's a lot of cap you can use to buy at the deadline.
Oh, yeah. And then he'll be back for game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You sit him out. Hey, even if he's healthy in March,
it's our turn.
Even if he's healthy in March, just pretend that he isn't. Get him to just be like, "Ow, my foot still hurts."
No, Maude, that's not allowed. No, that's not allowed.
Oh yeah,
you can't do that.
The NHL would never allow that. Gary Bettman would never let that slide.
Never.
But yeah, hopefully the Sens can be in a position where we'll actually be able to buy at the deadline. That would be nice. Might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves with that, but it's looking pretty good after tonight. So yeah, that does it for our player ratings. And before we take a look at chat, I'm just going to do one more ad read, which is that the Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community, inclusion, and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description of this episode, you'll find a link to our Patreon page, and we're also working on a page through LaRouche, a crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec. For LaRouche, we're looking to raise $15,000, and if we hit that goal, we'll gain access to government grants that will allow us to employ more people. The LaRouche page, I believe, is still a work in progress, but we'll be sure to let you all know right here when that is available. And that puts us into the overtime segment, which is taking a look at chat. Have you pulled any chat comments that you want to acknowledge here, Charlie?
Right off the bat, I want to acknowledge Ty hitting us with the guy that is the new Dzingel, not the next Heatley.
Oh,
and I think
that's holy crap.
I mean,
that's good.
I mean, like not yeah, like I don't think that's saying anything bad about Ryan Dzingel. He put up back-to-back 20-goal seasons with the Sens.
I miss that guy. I liked him.
Yeah,
I miss when he was good. I mean, because
his first time around with the Sens was much better.
Because I almost until I said that, I forgot that there was a second stint with the Sens. So I miss his first stint with the Sens.
Okay, a little bit of a little bit of trivia for you.
Ooh, what do you got?
Can you tell me? This is a two-parter. Can you tell me who the Sens acquired for Ryan Dzingel?
When we traded him to Columbus?
Yeah.
Anthony Duclair and 2 second-round picks.
Can you tell me what the Sens traded to Carolina to get him for a second time around?
Second time? 7th-round pick or something?
Alex Galchenyuk and Cedric Paquette.
I don't
remember that. I don't remember that trade at all. Like, I genuinely don't remember it at all.
I think for me too, that's because I would like to forget that Alex Galchenyuk and Cedric Paquette were ever Ottawa Senators. I think that's why I don't remember. I was just like, 7th-round pick, because those guys weren't really worth much more than a 7th-round pick anyway.
You might be thinking 7th-round pick, because that's what Ryan Dzingel was.
Okay, yeah, that's probably it. But specifically, Galchenyuk and Paquette might be 2 of the worst Ottawa Senators ever, especially Paquette. Paquette played like 5 games for the team and looked like he didn't give a shit to be out there, and then just fucked off. Just got scratched and never played again. And then what the hell was that? That was weird.
That's Cedric Paquette and Braden Coburn.
Oh, Braden Coburn.
Era.
Oh, the Eric Goodbranson, Braden Coburn on the blue line there. Oh my god.
Yeah.
We have, look how far we've come. Imagine if we were doing the show during that season, during that Canadian division season. That would have been just painful. That would have been like impossible to do.
There's no way we could have done it.
Hell no. What else we got in chat? Yeah, Ty also saying Sanderson and Pinto are having off seasons because who they're playing with. They both need better partners. However, Cousins and Amadio have been better as of late. It's very true. That's why I didn't go as harsh on Pinto. I think for Sanderson I said C or C- or something too. I think if Sanderson and Zoo were playing the whole season together and their stats were just as bad as Sanderson and Hamonic have been, then they both get like D. They both get D- F. But the fact that Sanderson has to play with Hamonic bumps him up, gives him benefit of the doubt. And same with Pinto. If Pinto was playing with top 6 wingers and has this bad of production, then that's a D. But the fact that he's been playing with other guys who don't really have many more points than him in general, that gives him the benefit of the doubt as well.
For sure. From Damian of Game Over Ottawa fame, finally Maude can cover a win.
Yeah, I'm super lucky that I've gotten 3 in a row now, because it was we did the home opener, which was a win, and then I did the ridiculous 8-7 game with Nick, which was the 3rd game of the season. So started off 2-0 for me on the show, and then I covered 7 losses in a row, and then now we've got 3 in a row. I got this one, I got Detroit, and the Anaheim in there too. So things are looking up. For a while there, I was like, I'm just cursed. I was just like, at the time when my record on the show was 2-7, the Sens had 10 wins. So I had only covered 2 out of 10 wins. I felt pretty unlucky with that.
That's brutal. Oh my god. Also, not to read any specific comment from him, but Terry McGurn in the chat. Shout out Terry. What's up, buddy?
Hell yeah.
Um,
Terry did say, did Maude just say they were gassy? And now I'm trying to remember what the hell I said. I'm like, what was
some
the?
of them being gassed, I think.
Yeah, I'm like, what was the context of that?
Hamza says that the Sens are above the Bruins via points percentage, which is
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
because Bruins have played more games, right? I think.
Yeah, let's see. Has anything changed at the start of the show?
That reminds me, yeah, they're playing right
No,
now.
nothing has changed because a lot of games tonight, but nothing's changed. Ottawa at
Oh,
11:16 p.m.
okay, but
Eastern is
hold
still in the
on.
second wildcard spot.
But the Bruins are up 3-0 on the Canucks at the moment.
That's fine. The
So
Bruins are in the third spot in the Atlantic right now,
that's,
anyway.
that's disgusting. But I want them to lose. What the fuck? What is Vancouver doing? What the hell is that? Oh my god. And of course, I activated Demko from IR in fantasy, and that was a bad decision. Holy shit.
Ooh.
That's ugly. But yeah, in terms of the standings, we were really lucky that the Rangers and the Flyers both lost today. That's what allowed us to move
Yes.
all the way up. So that's looking good. And like you give up a point to Pittsburgh, so they're one back of you, but at least they're not in your division. It's not the end of the world. The fact that we moved up
Yeah.
is huge.
Huge, 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 huge. Like the fact that it's December 14th. It's about to be December 15th in 45 minutes, and the Sens are going to be in a playoff spot halfway through December.
Which is not something we've been able to say since 2016. There goes my camera. I got the dead camera now. You want to end it on that note?
Yeah, let's. I think that's a sign that your camera's like that's like.
Yeah,
No, this is supposed to be a happy show.
We'll end it on the note that the Sens are in their best position ever since 2016, which is awesome. Hopefully a lot more optimism here to come and good times ahead on this show. Hopefully it's going to be tough as the Sens go on a 9-game road trip now. I'm just thinking if they can go even on that 9-game road trip, that's going to be a pretty good result in the end.
Absolutely. Here, let me just tee up the next show here
Go for it.
for the viewers here. So, Game Over Ottawa is going to be back on Tuesday night for a late one. Game against the Kraken out in Seattle, hosted by Damian. Damian, our resident late game host, because he's out in BC. So, Sends on this Western road trip coming up, starting out with Damian hosting that game against the Kraken on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and
then a bunch
after
of
that,
four straight head-to-heads.
Yeah, you know what? We should clarify with that is that because they're all road games, it'll be a bit quiet on the channel for a little bit because our crossover episodes always go on the home team's channel. So a note to anyone,
right.
note to anyone still watching or listening that on the Canadian games of this road trip, you're going to have to be tuning into the other Game Over Network channels for our show. We'll be crossing over with the hosts from those markets too. So it'll be a little bit quiet for a while around the holidays here on this channel, but we will still be having episodes on those other channels. And I'll probably try to post some clips on this channel too, to make it obvious that we are still making content.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, no live episodes on this channel between the 18th and 28th.
That's crazy, actually.
We'll have a show on the 17th, and then we'll be back on the 29th.
Holy crap. So yeah, I'll make sure to if you guys don't make it over to those live streams on the other channels, I'll make sure to be posting clips over here on this channel the following day.
Nice.
But be sure to check those out on the other channels as well. Yeah, I think that'll do it for tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching or listening. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Share this around as well if you enjoyed. And subscribe if you are not already. Have a good night, everyone.